Hey everyone. So today I wanted to give you a behind the scenes of how I'm planning my year. Okay, so I've created a framework for planning the year, and this diagram that outlines how that process, how that workflow looks like. So I'll give you an example of how I'm doing it, and my design and the things that I will working this year, and the tasks and projects and everything. So everything starts with a master plan. So once you have the design, you can then think about, okay, so what are the phases of development for that design? And I think that a lot of people are feeling overwhelmed, and they don't know where to start, because they don't have, like, the first thing is that they don't have a clarity of how that vision of the farm looks like what is the design for the farm, where are all the different systems located. And the next thing, they are not thinking about, okay, so what are the phases of development of my property? Just these two steps are extremely helpful in knowing where to put your efforts towards. So in my case, I have 4 phases of development. Like in phase 1, I'll be doing the permaculture orchard and irrigation, food forest and irrigation, house renovations and house area. That's my phase 1. There are 3 more phases, but you start year on year. You start from thinking, okay, so what phase am I in, and then creating a 12-month plan for that. Like phase is not equal to a year, so one phase can last several years. So this is a useful exercise just to think about, okay, so what are the phases of development, and then you think about your 12-month plan. Let me now show you more closely how that looks like. So the first is master plan, then the phase of development, and then you're thinking about your plan for the year, 12-month plan. In my case, I'm in phase 1, so I'm thinking solely, focusing my attention on these systems and things. And what I do is I ask myself, what does the progress for the year looks like? If I fast forward 1 year, what has changed with my property that would blow me away and make me happy with my progress? Okay, so once I answer that question, I get the vision. I know what the vision for the year looks like. In my case, that's my food forest is thriving despite the drought. I have installed irrigation throughout the entire area, and I initiated a fertility protocol. The roof of the house has been repaired, so there are no more leaks. The soil in my garden is healthy and consistently yields a bountiful crop. So that's my vision for the year. So once I have that vision for the year, I think about, okay, so what are the development goals for the year that come from this vision? Okay, so and it's either goal or objective. You can use whatever you want. Like the terminology is not important, but an objective is simply what you want to achieve. And in this step, I first list all the objectives based on that vision, and then I trim it down to 3 to 5 objectives if necessary. You don't need like 6, 7, or 10 development goals. That's just you're just overwhelming yourself with the amount of work. And even 3, even 5 is too much in my opinion. And so you take that vision, and unless it's really focused and already trimmed down, you'll need to trim it down. So there are some principles for choosing your development objectives. The first is to choose the objectives that are based on the design and the nucleus development methodology, meaning you look at your design and you see your nucleus. Nucleus is your house and so on, and you start developing your property from there. So everything that is closer to the house should be developed first. That's the first principle. The second is obviously like what's the priority, what's important and urgent, what's the weakest link in the system, and then it would be what's the least effort for the greatest results. What are the low-hanging fruits and leverage points, and then finally what needs to be optimized. If you already have systems going, what needs to be optimized. So in my case, I have like 4 development objectives. The first one is installing the food forest irrigation system. Second is improving food forest soil fertility. Third is fixing the roof. And fourth is optimizing the garden, fixing the garden's soil fertility, and mastering succession. So these are my development objectives for the year. And so we are still in this 12-month plan step. So the next thing I do, I list all the key actions that need to happen in order for me to get to that objective, to execute that objective. So what I'm doing here in this step is basically I'm mapping the workflow for each objective. And I'll give you an example. So in installing food forest irrigation system, the workflow for this, and I'll show you later, but basically what you need to know that almost every objective or project that you are going to do has several stages. Let's call it stages or types of work involved. So the first one is the design, the second one is planning, the third one is the install or implementation, the fourth one is maintenance, the fifth one is monitoring. So basically you can, like, every project that you're doing will have all these stages. So what I done here is like the workflow for installing food forest irrigation system is first, I need to do irrigation system design. I need to plan the layout and materials that are needed. Second, I need to do the logistics part. So I need to buy the pipes and tanks and pumps and everything that I need for that objective. And then I need to install all the pipes and tanks. That's irrigation system initial setup, and then everything that I already have going, I need to fix. So this is more like a system maintenance and fixes. And for example, for the roof, I need to inspect, assess the infrastructure. Basically, I need to inspect the roof, what's happening with it. I need to plan the project. I need to, arrange the time with others to work on the roof and get materials, and then I need to fix the roof. So what I've done is basically I mapped for each development objective the workflow or the steps, key actions that need to happen in order for me to achieve that objective. So once I have that, I then I prioritize the objectives. So even though I trim them down and it's 4 of them, I still need to, what happens if worst comes to worst? Like, what would matter that I achieve first, and then second, and then third? So I ask myself again, like a series of questions. So how much time do I have to work outside? How much I can outsource? How much, what's the budget for the year or for the month? Who can help me? So, and based on that, I prioritize the objectives. So in my case, the first thing is I want to optimize the garden. The next, fix the roof. A third, improve food forest soil fertility. And then finally, I want to install food forest irrigation system. So once I have these, the next thing I do, I list, I basically make a list of all these key actions that I need to achieve. And I do this basically in a table. So what I do is I list all these steps, and as I said, like every project will have a planning stage, the logistics stage, the install stage, the management, and then it's going to be, once you install it, it's going to be maintenance and monitoring. So this is like the easiest. So any type of project, any type of objective that you'll have, they all can be split into these steps. So what I done here is I mapped. Okay, so these are all the So these are basically all the steps, key actions in this for this objective. So I need to, for example, for the garden, let me take example that we were looking at. So for the food forest, I need to do the food forest irrigation system design first, then the logistics, get the materials, then set up with putting the tanks and pumps and pipes, and then fix everything that I currently have. So what I've done is I have turned these key actions into basically projects that I'll be working on. So each of these key actions is a project, and once I finish that project, that's a result that I got. So if I spend my time working on this project, so food forest irrigation system design, once I finish that design, I have the result, and I have moved one step closer to finishing that objective, executing that objective. So what I do, so in this step, I map all the projects that I'm working on, so basically the workflows for achieving these objectives, and I map out the dates when I want this to happen based on, as I said, what's the priority. And what I then can do is I create basically a calendar. This is like a timeline view based on the dates that I set for each of the projects or key actions that I'm working on. So I know at each point of the year what I'm working on. So for example, now it's February. In January, I was working on that soil fertility plan for my food forest. I was planning my garden, creating that monthly planting plan, and now in February I know that I can start adding fertilizer in my food forest. So this gives me an overview of the whole year, so what's happening based on my development objectives, that I've set up for the year. And once I have this, then I think about, so what is my Q1 and Q2 and Q3, Q4 goals? I think each quarter so because I was doing this at the beginning of the year, so I was thinking, so what needs to happen in Q1, in quarter one? So what is the rally cry for Q1? And what I do is I think about, so what is my number one goal for the next 3 months? So let's imagine it's January. My number one goal for the next 3 months is going to be, I want to have a plan in place for what I'm doing in the garden food forest. Basically, this means that my key milestones to hit are, I need to create that soil fertility plan, I need to create monthly planting plan, and I need to get soil and supplies for the garden. And let me see. And I have all these things, all these milestones or results or projects, I have all of them mapped here, so I know when they're happening. And basically what I do now is, I'm not thinking constantly thinking about your big picture plan and your yearly plan. When you are in the weeds of day-to-day grind on your property, you want to be working on the right things. And in order to work on the right things, you first do that 12-month plan, and then you zoom in to your quarterly. What is the priority for that quarter, and then once you have those things, what you're working for each month. So for example, now that I know that these are 3 main things that I'm working on this quarter, then I know in this month, so here are the tasks that are that I'm focusing my attention. Some of them like this is for this month. Some of them have not started. Some of them are like on my to-do, and some of them are in progress. And basically, like this is like a monthly plan, and then I look at like then I have like my daily to-do, and the daily to-do are the tasks that I'm doing. For example, today I'm focusing my attention today. So this is like you're starting from the big plan. You think about your phases. You're thinking about your 12-month plan, what you're doing in a quarter, what you're doing in a month, and then finally day to day. I'll give you this diagram, and hopefully this makes you want to plan your year, so your what you are focusing your attention, and so you know where to start. But in a nutshell, this is the process. Start with the property layout. You go to the what are the phases of development for the property, and then you think about your 12-month plan. Once you know what the 12-month plan is, what are the development objectives, you map all the key actions that need to happen. You put those key actions on a calendar, and then once you have them on the calendar, you think, okay, so what I'm doing this quarter, what I'm focusing my attention on this quarter, and what I'm working on this month, and what I'm working on today and tomorrow and this week. All right. Hopefully this was useful and helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. Okay. Bye.